Listening to problem solving.
Good evening, Brenda, George. If you're planning to get married, you want to make sure you're ready. I'm going to ask you 5 simple questions. If you answer the questions truthfully and agree, you're on the way to a very happy life together. Let's start with question 1. Do you want children?
No, not really.
What?
Oh, not right away, I guess.
Question 2. Do you like each other's families?
Sure, Brenda's brother's great, and I like her folks, too.
Yeah, I've got a great family.
And my family?
George, you have to admit some of them are a little weird.
Why would you say that?
Question 1.
What are Brenda and George planning on doing?
Question 2.
How does George feel about having kids?
Question 3.
How does Brenda feel about George's family? Now listen to part 2.
Question 3. What responsibilities will each of you have in the home?
You mean jobs around the house? George is a wonderful cook.
Yeah, if you want to have barbecue steak every night. No, I think you'd do most of the cooking. Wouldn't you?
Well, I enjoy cooking. I could learn. But you would help with the housework. Wouldn't you?
My mom did all the housework when I was growing up.
You're not marrying your mother, George.
Question 4.
What skills does George possess?
Question 5.
What type of environment was George raised in?
Question 6.
How does Brenda feel about chores? Now listen to part 3.
Question 4. What would life be like with half as much money?
Money's not that important, as long as you have food, clothing, shelter, and a really big TV.
Financial support is important, George. Think about the children.
What children?
Question 5. How do you settle an argument?
In the end, George usually sees things my way.
Oh, well, as for that, it's usually easier to agree than to argue.
Question 7.
How does George feel about arguments?
Question 8.
Overall, how does the couple differ?
Listening to a daily life conversation.
Hey, Alex, you won't believe this. I think I found a great summer job. I saw this ad in the Daily Times yesterday.
Really? What kind of job?
It's with an Australian travel company. They're looking for local tour guides.
Tour guides, huh? What do you have to do? I bet it'll be hard work. You'll be working all hours.
Maybe, but it says it's a fun summer job, especially if you enjoy meeting people from other countries. I think the best thing about a job like this is you get to see all the sights and go in the museums for free, to show the tourists around.
Yeah? You'd be good at that. I mean, you know all the local places and their history and everything.
Yeah. One of the main things they want is for you to be interested in your local area. That would be perfect for me. I mean, I know all the museums and...
Yeah, you spend all your time in the museums. So what else does it say?
You need to be self-motivated. That's no problem. And you have to be able to speak good English.
Well, your English is really good. That's no problem either. So, you'll be traveling all over if you get the job, huh?
I guess. It says, do you like to travel? So there must be a lot of travel.
So, what do you have to do to apply?
I have to write to the manager of the company and tell her why I'd be an outstanding guide. And I have to enclose a recent resume.
So, are you going to apply?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it says you get excellent pay.
That's good. I wonder what the pay is.
I have no idea, but it says you get benefits too.
Wow, it sounds great. Maybe the first thing you should do is go on the internet and find out more about the company. Before you write to them. What's it called?
18 plus travel. Never heard of it. I'll check it out.
Do you need any help with your resume? I could help you write one.
Oh, thanks. That would be great.
Question 1.
What was the woman up to yesterday?
Question 2.
What type of job did the woman find?
Question 3.
What type of person is the company looking for?
Question 4.
What does the woman need to do in order to apply?
Question 5.
What does the man suggest the woman do?
Listening for information.
Are your children grown up now, Laura?
Oh, yes. Rachel is married and has 3 children.
You're a grandmother? That's great. Congratulations.
Thanks. But I don't see my grandchildren very much. Rachel and her family live in Paris.
In Paris? Really?
Yeah. Rachel is a reporter for an American newspaper. Her husband is a French photographer. They met when they were reporting on the same story.
How romantic. And what about Grace? Is she married too? She was such a bright girl, always reading.
No, she isn't married, but she has a boyfriend. And she still reads a lot. She's a librarian at the public library. So what about your children?
Do you remember Roger?
Of course I remember Roger. Is he in college?
Oh, no. He graduated. Right now he's working as a translator, but what he really wants to do is write.
That's not surprising. He was a very creative little boy, always drawing or writing stories.
You're right. He'd like a job with more creativity.
And what about Brian? He was more practical, if I remember correctly. Less of a dreamer.
Brian is an air traffic controller in Florida.
Really? Very interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting job, but stressful.
Does his job require a lot of travel?
Not really, but he has a lot of responsibility. I'm sorry, Laura. I have to run now. I'm late for my train, but I'm really glad I ran into you.
Great to see you too, Rose. Give my regards to everybody.
Question 1.
What does Laura's first daughter do?
Question 2.
How did Laura's first daughter meet her husband?
Question 3.
What type of person is Laura's second daughter?
Question 4.
What type of person is the second woman's first son?
Question 5.
What does the second woman's second son do?
Question 6.
What is the relationship between the two speakers?
Listening to a news item.
Air France plane in bomb scare. There was a bomb scare on an Air France flight on Sunday. The plane was flying from the Indian Ocean island of Mauritius to Paris. A passenger found a strange-looking device made from a kitchen timer, cardboard, and paper in a toilet. They alerted staff, and the pilot decided to make an emergency landing in the Kenyan port city of Mombasa, which was the nearest airport. Air France's CEO, Frederick Gagey, said the device was harmless and caused a false alarm. He said that someone probably put it in the toilet at some point during the flight. Mr. Gagey added, "All the information available to us at the moment indicates that the object was not capable of creating an explosion or damaging a plane. Some of the passengers were put on alternative flights to Paris. 5 others are being questioned by the police." A Kenyan police chief told the Reuters news agency that some people are now airborne, but a few among them who we were interrogating have remained with us until ongoing investigations are done. The plane was carrying 459 passengers and 14 crew members. One of those on board said the crew told them that the plane was being diverted because of a technical problem. He said, "The plane just went down, slowly, slowly, slowly. So we just realized probably something was wrong." He added, "The crew of Air France were just great, just wonderful. They kept everybody calm and quiet."
Listening to a news item.
School says Hello Kitty Christmas tree can stay. A math teacher at a high school in Maine, USA, has been allowed to keep her pink Hello Kitty Christmas tree in her classroom. The tree was made from pink plastic and was adorned with Hello Kitty ornaments. The teacher, Catherine Gordon, had earlier been ordered by the school principal, Paul Butler, to remove it after he decided it was an inappropriate Christmas decoration. Mr. Butler explained to ABC News that he initially believed the tree did not fit with the way the school celebrated the different religious events happening at this time of year. He said, "A concern was shared with me regarding an inconsistency with our balanced approach to holiday observances." Ms. Gordon said, "I didn't think a pink Hello Kitty tree was offensive. It's a tree that's been put up in my classroom for years." She posted her story on Facebook, and it quickly went viral. She wrote the tree had no religious symbols on it whatsoever, no crosses or angels, just pink Hello Kitties, and my students really enjoyed it. She added that society was becoming too worried about upsetting different people. She said, "I feel that this is definitely a turning point in our society when everything offends everyone all the time. It just sucks the joy out of everything." She told the local newspapers that it just seems that in our quest to be tolerant of everything, we've become intolerant of everything. This is Michael reporting from Edmonton, Alberta.
Listening to a discussion.
Well, that was a good session, eh? All 24 members present, 8 conversation groups of 3, a full house. How'd it go for you, Diane?
Our group spoke French for more than half the time. 40 minutes of French and 20 minutes of English. But, hey, I'm not complaining. I need all the French I can get.
Hey, your French is just as good as mine. Keep practicing. A few more weeks and you'll sound like Nicholas here.
And remember, it's even harder for the allophones here. I mean, they're learning a third language.
Allophones?
They're people whose first language isn't English or French. Like Marta, she's an allophone. She grew up speaking Ukrainian, then she learned English, and now she's trying to pick up French.
Marta was in my group. She's amazing. Her French is way better than mine. She said her friend wants to join.
Well, that makes 6 new members who want to join, and they're all allophones. Problem is, we can't ask people to start bringing their own chairs. Maybe we need to look at a bigger restaurant.
I think we should just limit the membership to 24. Can't we start a wait list? There's enough turnover. Colleen and Liam are going back to Germany next week.
The thing is, if you put prospective members on a wait list, they might just join a different club. I know from working at the community center, wait lists are unreliable. You can have 6 people on a wait list. But when you call them, none of them are interested anymore. So, when people ask to join, we should let them in right away. How about meeting at a separate location on different nights?
Well, if all the new members are allophones, maybe we should change the format. Right now, each conversation group has 1 native English speaker, 1 native French speaker, and 1 allophone. But maybe in the new location, it should just be for allophones.
No, we need to mix them in with native speakers, like we're doing now. The allophones kind of inspire the others by their example, and they're great translators. For the next little while, we'll just have some groups with 3 and some groups with 4 until we get more native speakers in. We'll need to find a second location for a meetup on alternate nights. Some people can meet on Tuesdays and Saturdays. The new group could meet Wednesdays and Sundays.
Listening for information.
Hello, how are you doing?
Oh, hello.
Hi, I'm a reporter from WNYZ News Radio. I understand the city wants to remove this garden. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Can you believe it? After all this work we've done.
You don't sound happy.
I'm not. You see, 10 years ago, before we planted the garden, this was just an empty lot. The city gave us this empty lot to make a community garden. All the people in the neighborhood worked really hard. We planted everything you see. Flowers, vegetables, trees. We worked together and made this beautiful community garden.
The garden does make the neighborhood look nice.
You bet it does. You should have seen this place before we planted the garden. It had garbage on it and people just hung around. We made it beautiful. Now the city wants to remove all of this to build apartment buildings. I can't believe it.
Well, we all know there are not enough apartments in New York, right?
Yeah, I know it too. But there are other empty lots in the city. They can build apartments there.
Are there other reasons this garden is important?
Sure. Before we planted the garden, we didn't have a place to enjoy nature. There isn't a lot of nature in the city, you know.
Yes, I know what you mean.
This neighborhood didn't have trees or flowers. People had no place to come and sit. You know, get together with their friends and talk or just relax. Children didn't have a place to play either. Now there is a place for children to play and people to relax or meet their friends. We have a small part of the country in the city now and a place to enjoy nature.
It sounds like the garden is really good for the people in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it is. Before we planted this garden, some people sold drugs here. They didn't have jobs and didn't know how to do anything. Then they joined this garden and learned how to grow food. Now they sell vegetables, not drugs.
So this garden taught people about plants.
Yeah, not drugs.
And gave people jobs.
Yeah, and another thing. There are people like me. I grew up in the country. My family grew all our food. When I moved to the city, I lived in an apartment building with no yard, so I couldn't grow food anymore. In this community garden, I can grow vegetables again. And they taste great, much better than supermarket vegetables. Boy, I sure don't like those supermarket vegetables.
I understand. I don't like them either. Well, thank you for telling us about this community garden.
Thanks for coming out here.
Okay, good luck.
Take care.
So community gardens really give people a small part of the country in the middle of the city. They also make the neighborhood a nicer place to live. Tomorrow night, we will find out what the city of New York plans to do about this garden. Until then, good night.
Question 1.
Why is the man initially upset?
Question 2.
How does the man say the garden location was before?
Question 3.
Besides beauty, what else does the man say the garden provides?
Question 4.
How does the man say people's activities at the garden have changed?
Question 5.
How does the man say the garden has helped his diet?
Question 6.
Where does the man say other apartments could be constructed?
Listening to viewpoints.
Congratulations! After submitting dozens of applications, you've finally landed an interview. You've done your research on the company, printed out extra copies of your resume, and even rehearsed answers to questions like, what is your greatest weakness? But have you prepared for the most difficult interview question of all? Do you have any questions for us? A candidate can't afford to trip up on this question, says Erica Lee, a career advisor in Los Angeles. Employers need evidence that you're interested in the position. To avoid this fate, follow Lee's advice and impress your future boss by asking questions like these. What projects are you currently working on? Listen carefully to the answer, advises Lee. Then show how you can help them achieve their goals. Try to sell yourself as a solution to a manager's problems. Managers spend most of their time worrying, says Lee. Clearly, an employee who takes that stress away is like gold to them. How does the position fit into the company's structure? Employers want people who care about the company as a whole, not just about their own paycheck. Lee says this question also helps you see if the job has long-term potential. If they make the job sound unimportant, do you really want to be working there 5 years from now? What opportunities are there to get training? This shows your desire to acquire skills and knowledge that will benefit the company. In addition, says Lee, it shows you're interested in working your way up the organization. You want a promotion. Who doesn't? But you are willing to work for it. How is performance reviewed? This question demonstrates that you appreciate the importance of being accountable, meeting deadlines and targets. It also shows that you understand the value of constructive criticism and guidance. Lee also warns her clients not to ask questions like these. How much vacation will I get? If you ask this, employers will worry that you're not fully committed to the job. Focus on getting offered the job first, says Lee. Then you can discuss annual leave, benefits, and of course, compensation. Can I work from home? It's never a good idea to show an interest in this at the interview. The managers I know all prefer staff to work in the office first to make an assessment of their work and training needs, says Lee. Again, just try to get the job first. Similarly, avoid questions like, do I have to work overtime? Or, can I listen to music at work? Remember, an interview is a two-way process. You need to find out if the job is right for you, so don't be afraid to ask questions. Just make sure they're the right ones.